The YouTuber Ellis Mark very recently made a good video called The Death of Cringe Culture, which is a topic that I've wanted to do a video on for a while now, but that I've procrastinated heavily on because I've been trying to put my thoughts into words on the subject for a long time, and even while writing this now, I'm still struggling a bit. I'm going to be real with you guys. I cannot handle cringe content. Real, actual, legitimate cringe is so hard to sit through that it is physically painful for me. If you rigged me up Clockwork Orange style and maybe watched pickup artist videos and those TikTok where people pretended to be living in the Great Depression, I would probably actually die. So, what is cringe? Well, it's ugh, and it's and a little bit of ugh. So what I'm getting at is that cringe is a feeling. It's a visceral reaction to something you personally deem painful to watch or experience, like nails on a chalkboard. This kind of reaction to videos and other content on the internet has always been a thing. We just never had a short, concise word for it like cringe. Typically, these videos were referred to as epic fails in the mid 2000s. Just saying that made me feel really old. Like, okay, Granny, let's get you back into bed. I wouldn't say that cringe culture is dying, as it seems more like people are changing what is an acceptable target to ridicule and label as cringe. After all, it's just a buzzword meaning thing bad. And obviously, people don't want things they like to be called cringeworthy or mocked. But from what I've seen, most people really have no problem with calling other things cringy if they deem them so. Even if the thing you like is considered cringeworthy, that leads to the act of pretending to like something ironically, so as to not appear like a loser. This was also a big thing for a lot of people when I was a teenager. I remember a lot of people pretending to not like a lot of films based on the opinions of a certain nostalgia critic at the time, and I believe that this is just a phase that most teenagers will go through. The term cringe was briefly useful, but like all other buzzwords, it's basically meaningless now. People's threshold for what truly counts as cringeworthy is amazingly low. Internet tough guys and extremely boring people basically only ever use it to refer to children liking video games, or people having the audacity to have fun, or show enjoyment in public, and trying to paint both of these things as incredibly embarrassing and shameful. And I do have a bit of a theory about why this is. In ye olde Western Internet times, around 1995 to around 2006, the internet was relatively underused by the general populace and was seen as more of a thing only for nerdy losers. If you were a lonely child who had unusual interests, like for instance anime or video games, and you didn't fit in with the other children and were ostracized and bullied by them, then it makes sense that you would then, in turn, go to the internet to find people who did share your interests and use it to connect to people like yourself. And of course, many kids and teenagers and young adults did just that. Then, once Facebook blew up in 2009, the internet usage of the average person was already on the rise, as it was now easy to use and accessible to pretty much everyone, including the people who really did not like the aforementioned nerdy youth. And this also meant that the internet was no longer just a space for nerds with niche hobbies and interests. Flash forward a couple years, anime, video games, superhero movies, and long form television series based on really long books are acceptable forms of entertainment. But now the goalpost has moved. Some of these nerdy things are popular now, so it's okay to like them, but it's still not cool to be a nerd. You're still considered abnormal if you like something the incorrect amount or if you like it the wrong way. I think what I said is pretty much correct. Normal people have basically overtaken the internet and enforced their rigidly conformist anti-fun biases and tainted everything. It's like they're trying to make the internet exactly like middle school, and I consider that a human rights violation. I did my time. The weirdest thing about this is that it all just comes back around to wanting to bully children for having interests and just for existing, I guess. But let's be real here. The likelihood of the dedicated Ram kid having tons of friends is much higher than some kid or teenager or fucking 30-year-old man making awful cringe compilations by themselves in their bedroom. When people talk about cringe, I don't even factor children into it at all. Because of course they are. They're still developing and learning as human beings. Children are easy to make fun of because they're basically all raw, open emotion, naivety, and energy. A big part of why people, especially adults, don't like watching videos of children doing stuff that could be considered socially awkward or cringy is something that's been almost completely erased by the buzzword cringe. It's the aspect of secondhand embarrassment and how we see ourselves in these children. I don't cringe when I see that kid singing the Living Tombstone Five Nights at Freddy's song in front of his peers and realizing that he made a grave error. Or kids doing Fortnite dances because I think they're stupid. I'm cringing because I know they're dumb, and I did the exact same things as them. And I remember that these moments were incredibly painful. And I was already being bullied at the time. I especially can't give children shit about flossing. Because look at the dance that was popular in 2007 that a lot of young weeboo did with friends. including me. I'm not going to downplay the role grown ass adults mocking these children have on them, because besides it being incredibly sad and pathetic, more importantly, seeing adults engage in bullying encourages and tells other children that this behavior and response is acceptable. I shouldn't have to say that it's not, but apparently I do. And also, people for some reason don't realize or just don't care that it's entirely possible that the kid they're saying should kill themselves for having fun with friends could read these horrible things that complete strangers are saying about them. One thing I think a lot of people do try to downplay is how many cringe videos are made by teenagers to make fun of other teenagers or younger children. And how most of the time the only way we get to see these children do socially awkward things is because other children are filming them with their phones. Because we live in an age where basically everything everyone does is being recorded at all times. And having some embarrassing moment put up on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok is permanent, and is likely going to follow them their entire lives. Children, and especially teenagers, are petty, and don't think of how their actions can cause harm to others. They'll make fun of someone for doing the exact same thing as them, and shame each other for being happy for no reason because they're dumbass kids. It's these reasons, plus many more that I don't really have the time to get into right now, that I hold the very controversial opinion that children shouldn't be allowed on the internet at all. Period. The internet isn't any safer than it was 10 years ago. People aren't teaching their children to be safe online anymore because they believe it's been sanitized and want to use it as a daycare. It's scary how much personal information young people are putting online. Online bullying and harassment is real, and we don't know the extent of the effects it's going to have on this current generation. These kids are having to go through the worst phases of their lives in an always online environment where social ostracization and harassment is easier than it ever has been. We need psychologists and sociologists doing extensive research and studies on this because it's unprecedented. I remember vividly several years ago finding my then teenage sister sitting on the floor in our kitchen sobbing and having a complete breakdown because of harassment she was getting from some friends she went to school with. They had some dumb childish argument on Tumblr, and this teenager gave random adults online my sister's phone number and told them vaguely that she was a bad person because of a stupid disagreement about stupid teenage drama, and these random adults were texting my sister the most heinous fucking shit. And let me tell you, the kids who do shit like this absolutely crumble into dust the second consequences arrive knocking at their door. This absolutely solidified my opinion that people under the age of 18 should not be using the internet. Cringe culture isn't dead. I don't even think that it's something that can die. It just changes into something else. The term cringe is oversaturated, but I could see it sticking simply because it's so, well, simple. Everybody's a little cringe, and that's alright. We're only human after all. Anyone who says they didn't have a cringy phase is either a liar or even worse. They were being cringe, but were completely unaware of it the entire time in complete ignorant bliss. How frightening. How powerful. A cringe lord, if you will. Huh? Huh? Get it? Unfortunately, people are always going to find ways to harass others over dumb shit, and they are always going to be mean to children because it's easy and it takes no effort. And, inevitably, people are going to be overbearing and annoying about the franchises they like until you wish that you and everyone else were dead, just so you didn't have to hear about it anymore, and that it vanished from existence. Now cringe is just relegated to people being incredibly annoying and, like, creepy sometimes, but not always. Sometimes just liking a thing is creepy, and it's confusing and weird. I can't even speak because I'm in fandoms, like I was in the Undertale fandom, and that shit got weird real fast. Modern fandom is trying to erase all the weird shit. Don't erase all the weird shit. I like that shit. It's fun. I don't want to live in a world where I can't go online and look at a fandom and see all the weird shit they're into. That's probably another conversation about another video, though. This one's about cringe culture, not just general fandom stuff. There is genuinely nothing wrong with liking something. Even if it's super popular, or if it's no longer popular, or never was popular. Even if it's been oversaturated in media, or the memes are bad. If you like it, you like it. Whatever. Who cares? Just be confident and have fun. I'm still not gonna play Fortnite, though.